Terri, calling in from South Dakota. What's going on?
Hello. Hello. Good to hear
Hello.
you
Welcome to
guys
Truth
on the
Wanted.
telephone.
Yeah.
I got got a quick question. I think it'll be a fast answer.
Okay, Terri, you're breaking up just a little bit. Are you in a good area in the house? You got good access to Wi-Fi?
Yeah. Let me switch to the other side.
You're back.
You're
back.
back.
I can get you.
You're back. Terri, you still there? Hello? Oh my goodness.
She's now in the upside down.
I know. Terri, one more time, you there?
Yep, I'm on the south side of the house now. Is
Okay.
that
better? Just stand right where you are. Don't move a single inch. We can hear you just fine. Go ahead.
All right. Just a quick question. I think it'll be a quick answer. I wanted your view and your explanation on how do they know what a ghost is when they haven't been exposed to movies, books? I'm talking 2, 3, 4-year-olds that have seen a ghost. How do you explain that?
I don't know that I've ever met a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old that wasn't exposed to the idea of ghosts, to be honest. Even if they're not watching movies or books, I'm sure there's people talking about it in some form or fashion, right? I mean, what do you think, Seth?
It's funny. I'm a big fan of ghost stories. I published a ghost stories audiobook. I do a podcast every October with ghost stories. I'm fascinated by the subject of ghosts. I'm no psychologist, and I'm not a neurologist or neuroscientist, rather. So, I mean, I can't speak with any expertise, but I think, there are a lot of recognition mechanisms within the human brain related to people or the effigy or images of people that I would think would probably be kicking in. I also know that we are creatures, especially young people, we are creatures of imagination. So again, if a child comes and says, I saw a ghost, I would be intrigued. What is it? What did it do? What was your experience? Can you point it out? Can we replicate it tomorrow night? I would want to pursue that. I'd want to go down the rabbit hole. But if a child says I saw a ghost, I don't have any reason to take it to the bank. I think it would just be perhaps an opportunity for us to sort of cultivate the critical thinker within them. Okay, well, what was it? How did it operate? Can it be replicated? Are there other explanations? What do you think? Let's do this. Let's do that. It's a chance for the child to really be able to explore their world with their feet still rooted on terra firma in science and reason and evidence-based thinking. That's my 2 cents for what it's worth.
Yeah, like I think you bring up a good point in the sense that ghost is a really general word. Ghost could be used to describe something that we may not think of in our minds. Kids' brains, they think so differently. I remember when I was a kid, I used to think, there were some stuffed animals across from my room, and I swore to my parents that these animals moved at night. And I was so terrified, and I didn't like them looking at me. But it was probably just I don't know, me staying up too late or something, and thinking they were moving. I don't know. It could have been a lot of things. And I used to think too that there was like a person in my closet because I could have sworn I saw my clothes moving and stuff. I mean, kids are probably the least reliable humans out there in terms of telling exactly what's happening in the world around them. So
really?
It's so funny.
Well,
like
I just think that they're so innocent at that age that they tell the truth.
Well, I don't think it's quite that simple.
Yeah.
I am, again, I'm not a child psychologist, but I do know that we are looking at sort of these people who are brand new and do not have often the tool set, the critical thinking tool set, the experiential tool set to be able to reverse engineer the things that are happening in their life, right? Most of the world is still unknown to them. So their perceptions are amplified, but they're also at the same time very, very reduced. And so they lack perspective, the perspective that comes with time, with education, with years, with the interaction with the world, with learning how the mind can be tricked. They don't have that tool set at that age. So yeah, they might believe they saw something and be absolutely earnest and sincere, telling the truth, but it doesn't mean that they are telling a truth. It doesn't mean they're an arbiter of truth. They're still speaking to their own perceptions based on a very, very young and sort of an unexperienced mind.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the other half of this story is 6 other people, without knowing anything was going on in this house, had the same feeling that someone was watching them as they slept in one of these rooms. And none of the people ever slept in the house again.
Wait. Hold on. You should have told this part of the story first now, Terry. So you're saying the next morning everybody convened together and said they all felt like somebody was watching them? How did this come about?
No, these are all different times. This is over a 2-year span. This is in my friend's house. Her sister, her parents, myself, and a friend from Canada, without knowing anything about anything in this house, all slept in this room overnight, and all had an experience of hair going up in the back of our necks and seeing something in the doorway. I didn't open my eyes because I was scared to death, because I just kind of stirred and put the covers over my head. But I've since had that explained to me that it's in my subconscious, that things have been, I'm exposed to different things through my life, that has kind of been explained on my half.
Yeah. So my family's from New Orleans, right? And so originally they're from New Orleans. And so if you ever go to New Orleans, it's supposedly the most haunted city in America, right? Because you got all these haunted tours and all these places, and they.
Uh-oh, I lost you. Hello?
And so by the time you actually get there, and by the time you're like in the room and it's at night and maybe you're alone, like that's when you're most alert. Sometimes I'll freak myself out at night because I think I hear something and it's just a cat. You know what I mean? Like this can happen anywhere as long as you prime yourself for it ahead of time. And if you're experiencing this stuff because you heard it from other people, like, yeah, of course it's going to freak you out a little bit. Right?
Nobody had heard anything from anybody else because my friend never mentioned it to anybody.
But you had heard it before, right?
And somebody had. No, not before I slept in the house.
You didn't know anything about it before you slept in the house?
No.
I mean, we're still in the realm of the anecdotal.
No.
I mean, if you're telling me you experienced something, and I have no doubt.
But
I have no doubt that you're being absolutely sincere.
Mm-hmm.
But I, as sort of this third party neutral observer, my first really request is going to be, well, can you demonstrate this in some way? Otherwise, I just can't take your word for it. And
right, and that's the way it's been explained on the adult level, and I've come to terms with that. This is something that, like I say, this is not a real thing for me anymore.
Well, I mean, as far as children, I'm not questioning the sincerity of children who rush in and say, "Oh my God, this happened." But I do know that we are talking about really, in a lot of ways, blank slates when it comes to determining the world around them. And so their perceptions are going to be different because often they don't have the tool set for analysis, critical thinking, understanding how the brain works, how perceptions and biases come into play, all of these other mechanisms, that's not even in their universe yet. So I'm not calling the kid a liar, but I think that's something we have to certainly take into account whenever they bring us a very, very grand claim like a ghost or a spirit. Okay.
Yeah, I have to agree with Seth.
Well, it hasn't.
Oh no, I was just going to say I have to agree. It's hard for us to demonstrate anything. We kind of having a theme tonight with some of our calls, right? It's like if we had a scientist on here telling us something, that'd be interesting. But like having hair raised at a house that maybe you feel spooked at, I mean, that's not enough to convince me of anything beyond the human experience,
Like I've got sleep paralysis. It happens a couple of times a year where your body is frozen for REM sleep, but you are actually waking up. So what happens is you're able to partially see what's happening in the room. And a common occurrence with those who have sleep paralysis is there is a presence. There's like a human shape looming over your bed. It is one of the it's hard for me to communicate how scary it is. And it's even more scary because you can't move.
Yeah.
You feel like you can't breathe and you freak out.
Right.
Fortunately, Natalie's there and I used to, back when I was a believer, I used to think, well, it was the devil or it was ghosts or demons. And then I began to realize I got educated that this is a thing and this is what's happening. And the body's paralyzed for REM forced sleep. And then you come out and then you panic and all these other things are going on. And it's a common deal. And it sort of helped me through that. And, that's kind of where I fall.
The best explanation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like that explanation. It's the best one I've ever come across, and like I said, the deep-seated stuff that's in our brains already subconsciously because of horror movies we've watched and
Totally.
things we've talked about that, But I was just wondering about the kid thing, and because I've kind of shook off my own experience and come, to logical terms with it. But I was just wanted your opinion on the kids. And
well,
there you go,
Terry.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Thanks for calling in. Hopefully, we gave you a satisfying answer, and I hope you have a great rest of your night. Yeah, like I said, we kind of run into some themes with the calls tonight, huh?
I mean, if a kid came in and was like, I saw a ghost in my room, I mean, I want to go in there. Let's go look around.
Yeah, let's go find it, right? Let's go
check it out.
Ghostbusters on this
I
thing.
mean, I would never say dismiss the kid and go, that's the stupidest thing I've ever. I mean, I just don't think we want to live in that universe. I think,
yeah,
we are great as a culture at killing curiosity in young people. All right. They're spoon fed answer, answer, answer. This is what you think. And instead, we're like, well, let's cultivate a critical thinking mechanism within them. Let's make them critical thinking machines. And, sometimes when I'm signing books, or not books necessarily for kids, but they'll want an autograph on something, a program at a conference or something. And there'll be a young person, relatively young, maybe young teens. I like to write, make every day a discovery. Because if you don't start with the answer, it means that you have no idea where life will take you. And as you're doing all of these sort of tests and experiments and checking and rechecking and kicking the tires, who knows what you may teach someone else something. They may teach you something. It opens up your world tremendously.
I agree. Everybody knows something you don't. There's always something to learn from folks. And I was going to ask her because I thought she had said she did hear about these stories before. Just going back to that priming thing, because I will watch like weird stuff on YouTube or something scary, and again I'll freak myself out, and I don't believe in any of that. I have no belief in the paranormal or supernatural or anything, and it's just something in us that wants to be scared or feels the need to be scared because that's how we evolved. It helped us survive, and so we're going to have that response to stuff, even if it doesn't make sense sometimes. But anyway, great call. Thanks for calling in on that, Terry. Let's go ahead and jump on to another call here.